What's going on? It's December 29th. I believe it's December 29th. I've got to update that up here. So in my notes, it's December 29th. What I want you guys to do is tell me when you come on, tell me where you're coming from, and tell me we need your questions. So I like doing these live Q&As every so often. It is after Christmas, which is crazy to think. Like, we've already made it through Christmas. Where did 2022 go? I have my I kind of have my feelings on 2022, and I'm not going to be surprised. I'm not going to be sad when 2022 is over. But I am going to be happy because I made it through and I'm still alive and still standing. So as you come into the chat, let us know where you're coming in from, and let's get your questions as we go. So I'm just going to do some housekeeping things here. Um, uh, the sweepstakes for my two bikes ends very, very soon. So if you have not heard, I'm giving away two more motorcycles. I don't even know. It's like 27, 28. I don't know how many motorcycles we've given away, but I'm giving away my 2023 KTM 300XC. It's the TBI. Holy crap, that motor is amazing. And all new bike. They're very hard to find. And I'm also giving away my 2022 KTM 300 XCW. That's a TPI. So both of them are fuel injected two strokes. They're both KTMs. They're both amazing for different reasons. And so those are both going away. The sweepstakes ends December 31st at midnight. So if you haven't gotten your entries, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can go to my website, dirtbikechannel.com. You can buy anything that I sell over there. It's automatic entry with all purchases. You can also use my links to Rocky Mountain ATV. So if you go to dirtbikechannel.com and you click on, I think it says shop Rocky Mountain ATV it's in the main menu. That takes you over to Rocky Mountain ATV, puts a cookie in your browser, and then anything you purchase from them, it gives me a kickback, and it also puts you into the drawing for these bikes. So once December 31st ends, we have to wait for a week for the postcards to come in. All that data goes to a company called Sweepstakes Pros. They're out of California. They compile all the data, give me 10 finalists, and then we go live on YouTube and we talk about it, or we do the drawing. So yeah, so that's what's happening. So get your entries in for that. So yeah, let me know what your questions are and where you're coming in from. We've got Roy Reddick. He said 22 sucked. David Fedler says he's from Graham, Washington. Frank Merritt says, I'm with you. 2022 was rough for different reasons. Rusty says, hello, Kyle. I hope we don't turn this into a 2022 suck fest, because it would be hard. It would be hard for me not to start railing on 2022 with what's happened to me. But let's see if we can keep it to dirt bikes. If we have to turn this into a therapy session and we start going into life things, I mean, whatever. This is your program. You guys get to ask the questions. But we'll see if we can keep it about dirt bikes. Roy Reddick says the XCW is his. Charles Swiger is from West Virginia. Let's see. Sam Gren is from Memphis, Tennessee. Tons of tight single track here, hoping to win a new two-stroke. Late 828 says you're going to test new beta soon. I probably should. I really got my eye on some TMs because I get a lot of questions about TMs, but it's been a hot minute since I've done a beta. It's been since 2020 since I had a beta. So maybe I need to get another one of those. Herman Bergen says, can I win from Canada? It's for US only. There's too many export restrictions and too much red tape for the whole Canadian thing. And I'm really sorry. I wish it was different. I wish I could open up to everybody internationally, but it's kind of impossible. Frank Merritt says, buy his straps. Those are nice. Yes. Thank you, Frank. I've tried to make as good a straps as possible for sure. Dirt Bikes Fun Fred says he's from Alabama. Reborn Off-Road Dude is from Connecticut. Frank Merritt from Florida. Lance Lee from Billings, Montana. 2022 was a rough one here too. Dirt Bike Trails with Oz. Hey, what's up out of Northern California? Adam Fellis is from Ontario. Will you be getting another beta soon? We talked about that, so maybe. Late 828 is from Finland. Scott Samoyan is from South Jersey. Josh Ellis is from Ohio. Okay, so here's our first question. Charles Swiger says, who on here runs Klotz Super Template? Is it Technoplate? Super Klotz Technoplate in their bike, and do you like it? So that would be for other people to maybe answer in the comments, because Charles, I haven't run that Klotz Super. I don't even know what that is. Technoplate oil? I guess it's just a different type of oil from Klotz. I haven't run that. Let's see. Rusty, what are you going to do different this year? I'm not going to get divorced again. You know how they say like, yeah, if you do the same things but expect different results, that's the definition of insanity. I'm 2023 has got to be better than 2022 because I this one big thing that really happened in 2020 that happened at the beginning of 2022, and then I've dealt with kind of the aftermath of that. That's not going to happen in 2023 because it's already happened in 2022. So there you go. So 2023 has to be better, should be better, hopefully better, because I will be clean slate there. So, and by the way, yes, I have no hard feelings towards my ex. She's an amazing person, salt of the earth. I still love her, and we still co-parent our kids as best as we can. But that's what's going. So in 2023, it'll be different because I won't have that, and it's getting better and better every month. It was something that, anyway. I don't want to get into it. But yeah, so that's what'll happen. That's what will be different. Can it? CTK says Canadians win the bike giveaway? Unfortunately, no. Raygard Steinberg is from South Africa. He's chiming in. Let's see. Here's another question. Hey, bro, you ought to do an old two-stroke rebuild, port and polish tune, and give away. So I don't have one of those on like right off the top of my head, but I am going to do like one of my buddies. His name is Tyler. He runs, it's the Enduro Builds channel. He is making an iron horse. Like he's making a crazy gas, where he's converted it from TPI down to like carbureted and everything. And he's done, we're basically, he's sparing no expense, and I'm going to buy it from him then and then give it away to you. So it's not an older bike, but it will be something a little bit different. Conrad Rohrer says, have you ever ridden in Idaho? Yeah, I have. Idaho is amazing for summer single track. It's Mecca. I love it. CTK says, please test a Beta 500 RRS. You bring up a good point. I think it is probably time for me to get a 500 four-stroke. I've got, I've ridden them here and there from other people, but it's just one of the bikes that I haven't had on the channel. I've had 450s, I've had 300s, 350s, 250s, 125s, all the stuff. And so I'm kind of neglecting the 500 four-stroke. So let's do that. Jacques Nell says, and make some positive change. Yes. Rusty says, what happened with the gas 300cc enduro suspension they advertised with 8500 with Olin suspension? I don't know. I haven't seen that. I don't know. Charles Payne says, divorce costs so much because it's worth it. I don't know. It's been rough. Chris Davies says, TPI versus TBI. What are your thoughts on what's better overall? Okay. So really good question. Love this question, Chris. So I really only have, I don't know, 5 or 7 hours of TBI motor time, because it's snowed and the weather has been kind of just sucky here in Utah, ever since I got my TBI bikes. So, but what I will, so I don't have that much time on them. The TPI bikes, I was able to get them running really, really well, but it always took, not always, but most of the time it took some tuning required with the TPI bikes. My experience thus far with the 3 TBI bikes that I have, which is a 125, a 250, and a 300, is they run like screaming eagles right out of the gate. It's insane how good the TBI bikes run. Now, they're very hot. Like the motors are super hot. And I'm not sure everyone is going to love that. Like I think most people will like that. And you can use the map switch, which, full disclosure, I haven't even used the map switch down to this cooler map. But they do run very hot. And if you want to win one, I'm giving away the 300XC, my 2023 300XC. Just go to my website right now before the end of the year, and you'll be entered to win that 300XC, which is a TBI. But here's the thing. Because of the fact that you're not tuning it, or at least I haven't seen the need to tune it, that's one of the things I said. TPI, I said fuel injection would save the two-stroke. And I said that years ago in 2018 when they first came out with it, and brought it here to market. And I think that I still believe that. I still believe that these fuel injected two-strokes will save the two-stroke motor for us in the enduro market. If it's going to be saved, and I still say if, because the whole electric thing, I don't know how that's going to play out. But if it's going to be saved, it has to be something where it's just people can just plug and play, just like they do with the four strokes, where you don't have to do anything to it. You just get the bike and run it, start it, and it runs great and it runs amazing. Though, oh my gosh. So we were down at Swing Arm City, which is a place, Southern Utah ish. And just last week, I went down there twice in about a 10-day period. And I was down there with my boys and I was on the 250XC. I've never ridden a 250XC that had that much power. I mean, I've never ridden a 252 stroke that had that much power. You do some of these freaking hill climbs and you're like, holy Jezebel. You just keep shifting gears up. And the hardest, like, it was an adjustment because I was climbing these hills and doing this, just kind of messing around with my boys. And I was having I was having to adjust how I ride the bike because I was getting so much, I was just lofting the wheel and wheeling up these hills, which I was like, damn, this bike has so much power. This motor has so much power. And that's really crazy. So so far, I'm in love with the motor. It's the best thing about the 2023 XC bikes is the motor. There's a lot of other changes that they made to the bikes that I'm not as in love with, to be dead honest with you. But the freaking motors, oh my gosh, it's amazing thus far. Never been on a two strokes that ran better. I've never been on a 125 that ran better than that TBI. Never been on a 250 that ran better, and I've never been on a 300 that ran better. And we've done all kinds of things, from like aftermarket heads to uh, uh, different ECUs, and tried relocation blocks and all these different things, electron carburetors and smart carbs and all this stuff. And yeah, you can, if you spend enough time with a two stroke, you can get it to run amazing. And so I'm not saying carburetors are obsolete. I'm not saying TPI, I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying I haven't touched the dang things, these TBI bikes, and they run as good or better than any other bike I've ever been around. It's insane. Okay, so that's Chris Davies' question. So Frank Merritt, hopefully I'm not skipping ahead, but what are your favorite and least favorite things about the KTM? Okay, so well, the 2023s is what he's saying. So obviously the favorite thing, Frank, is that motor. Least favorite is just the fact that the freaking frame is so stiff. Like the frame and the chassis and the chassis and the suspension together is just really, really stiff. I'm trying to figure out if I like the gearing or not. Like I loved the old gearing that we had on the XC bikes from 2012 clear up until now 2023. It was my favorite transmission. They've changed the transmission so it is closer together. It's more like the XCW. Like the first gear is lower, first and second gear are lower than they used to be. I'm trying to keep an open mind on that, and I need to get some more time on the bikes. But yeah, so those are a couple of things to think about. Moto Dad says, "Dang, dude, I feel for you." I think he's talking about my challenges. Let's see. This, I can't pronounce your name. It's Checkulator. Yeah, Checkulator says, "Hi Kyle. I ended up getting the new Explorer Pro 7548 forks and WP Exact Pro 8950 shock. Absolute game changer. Thank you for doing the cone valve episode. Made my decision based on the review," which is interesting because you bought something that I didn't even use, but I get it. So premium suspension. After a while, I mean, and I've done a ton of different revalves on suspension, and I haven't really been blown away ever. But and I'm still working on getting a set of cone valves for my 2023 KTM here. I'm just working super slowly with Kevin at Moto Experts. He's been busy. I've been busy. Let's see. Mike Schlepp says, sorry to hear. Oh yeah, sorry to hear. Okay, not a question there. And then he says, oh shoot, I lost it. Yeah, so Rusty says the Clot Super Technoplate is a Castrol synthetic oil blend. It's a good oil, but will leave residue on power valves. I don't love that sound, but David Feidler, have you ever done any riding at Gold Creek Lodge? No, I haven't. That's that lodge that's up in the northern part of Idaho, maybe up by Coeur d'Alene. I have not been up there. Somebody's asking for a Rage 0462 wants a Reju review. We'll see about that. We've got Nissan Dory. Hello from Ireland. Okay. Adam Fallis says, what would you recommend for my 9-year-old girl to start riding on? So difficult to say how tall she is, but 9-year-old makes me start to think about a Honda CRF 110F or the Yamaha TTR 110. That's right in that range. If she's never ridden anything, that might be a good way to go. If she's taller, I'm trying to think. If she's a tall 9, she might be able to do like a CRF 125F on the Honda line, but that has a clutch. So that's something too. That's she's probably not that tall. So we're probably looking at like a 110 from either Yamaha or Honda, or even Kawasaki has a 110, I believe. Okay. Let's see. Late 828 says Johnny Walker changed his hard enduro bike from a beta 300 RR to the 200 RR. Do you think he'll do better next season? And will the smaller bike be a good move? I'm not sure. So I hadn't heard this. So Johnny Walker is one of these hard enduro guys. For those of you that don't know, he rides for Beta. I didn't know anything about this, about him swapping to a 200. One second. I will say though that the Beta that I had, the Beta 200 RR that I had, absolutely loved it. And I have extolled its virtue time and time and time again. And I have told so many people that I think it's a great beginner bike, but it's also a great, let's just like all around bike for any rider, especially if you are a shorter person coming into this sport. So it's one of the ones that I've recommended a ton to women coming into the sport because it does have that shorter. The betas are shorter off the gate, and then or right off the bat, and you can order a beta with the low boy option, which drops it another 2 inches. So now you're about 3 inches shorter than the KTMs and the Yamahas and the Hondas and all that stuff, which is pretty good. Let's see. Joe Wilkerson, need bike to start a race. I don't know. Two-stroke dude says you're divorced. Yeah, unfortunately, that happened in 2022. It was a stinky deal. Charles Swiger says he bought a 2023 Husqvarna TX300. I love it. It's bad A, he said. Luke Moscow. I have heard new KTM bikes have been having piston problems. What's up with that? Here's the deal. I would stop reading the internet. Like, it's for whatever reason, I don't know why it is, but like people just sit there and they want to bash on KTM in ways that they don't like to bash on the other bike manufacturers. Um, yeah, I'm not saying people do have problems with bikes. Like, there are problems that happen with Yamahas, there's problems that happen with KTMs, there's problems that happen with Husqvarna, problems that happen with Hondas. But these things get really, really overblown with KTM, and I'm not sure why. I just haven't really figured that part out yet. So people talked about how, every KTM was going to have an oil pump failure on the TPIs. Well, I'm sure some people had them, but I never saw one. I owned more than 20 of those TPI bikes. I never had an oil pump failure. And between me and my buddies, we have thousands of hours on these motors. Never even had a single problem on any of them. So are there some pistons that have problem? But maybe. But if as far as I know, it's a Vertex piston, and these Vertex pistons are going in like all the bikes, most of the bikes, as far as like different brands and stuff. So I don't know. I think most of the time, most of this stuff is internet hype that just gets blown out of proportion. That's been my personal and professional opinion for many, many years. Joe Wilkinson says, Joe from Oklahoma, because seriously, people talk about beta too. There was a while there where it was like, oh, every single beta is going to have a main engine, like a main seal in the motor just go out. And like for a second, it was for a very brief second, like the word on the street was that every beta sucks. Every beta doesn't suck. And every KTM doesn't suck. And every Yamaha doesn't suck. So anytime somebody's like, oh, this is happening to everyone, just take that with a grain of salt. Okay. Let's see. So Lance Lee says, new wheels going on my bike this winter. Ever put together a heavy wheel set with heavy duty tubes and tires compared to your standard tubeless setup and see if there's a noticeable handling difference? No, I haven't. That's an interesting idea though. What I think I would rather do, Lance, is put together a set with moose bibs. Um, you know, and then just kind of see what the deal is there. I have a backup set of wheels that are like a Tusk wheel set, and it's obviously different than like the Excel rims that have been on a lot of the KTMs that I've had. And there were some people that said, "Oh, you'll be able to tell the difference." I can't tell the difference. And maybe it's just become I'm too daft. I also can't tell the difference between a PDS bike and a linkage bike when they're set up properly for the type of riding that I'm doing, the type of riding that you see on the channel through the desert and through the mountains. I can't tell the difference between PDS suspension and linkage suspension. You know, I can tell the differences in like an XC versus an XCW based on the geometry on the front end, how they turn and how they feel. But as far as just like how it goes through the whoops or whatever, if I start to try to pay attention to what's happening in the rear end, like I can pay attention, I can tell differences in what's happening in the front end between like an XC or an XCW. And obviously, I can tell the difference between like a Sherco and a KTM. But when I take a KTM XCW and a KTM XC, and I forget about the front end, and I start thinking about the rear end when I'm riding, and I'll ride one bike one week, another bike the other week. Can't tell the difference in those major different types of shocks, suspension. So yeah, by the tires, I can tell the difference in tires. I think I'm pretty sure, but as far as the difference between a heavy tube or a tubeless setup, I don't know. I don't think I can. David Feidler says, "What do you prefer? Get an ECU or plug-in programmers?" I guess it would depend on the bike. Here's my thing with ECUs. Most of the time, I think an aftermarket ECU makes the bike run different. I don't necessarily think it makes it run better. The one ECU that I've liked the most is actually on the Yamahas, the Yamaha YZ250FX and the 450FX. I haven't had the 450, but you get what I'm saying. Because that ECU allows you to tune it with your phone. You can just go like you can download the app on your smartphone, and you can actually make noticeable changes to the power characteristics. I really like that. I haven't had a plug-in programmer on just like, excuse me, a random bike. CTK just ordered the Beta 2023 500 RRS and was love to hear your opinion on it. I don't have any opinion on it because I haven't had a Beta 500. Sorry. Sorry. I don't know really anything about that bike. Matt S says, "Hey Kyle, love the channel and all the info you provide us from Canada. So sad we can't enter the sweepstakes. I'm 31, started riding last year. He has a 2014 YZ 250F. I mostly like trails more. Yeah. The problem with international entries, as far as with Canada or anywhere else, is a lot of legal stuff and red tape. It's difficult enough to keep it from making it look like it's gambling here in the United States, but awarding products over the internet, over the border into Canada. I tried it one year and I lost money on every single item that I sent across the border. I lost money on every item, brother. And I cannot afford to lose money on items. And then I can't award the bike to you. I'd have to award some sort of a cash prize because I can't send a bike across borders. Like Rocky Mountain ATV tried it in 2018. They banged their head against the wall for an entire year and then finally just gave the guy a cash prize. And I know because I know the guy, he reached out to me. We've talked about it multiple times. So I wish I could open it up to international, but it's just not at this point. Let's see. So Matt S says, "Well, my girlfriend rides track." Lost it. Oh, dang it. Where are you? Okay. So while my girlfriend rides track, I've never ridden a two-stroke. She says I won't like them, but they're better for the kind of riding I like. Should I trade my four-stroke for a two? So Matt SS, if you're going to be riding a lot of off-road stuff and stuff that you see like on my channel, then the answer is yes. Let's turn this light off and see if that helps like my headache situation. Is that okay, guys? I've just turned that off. It's just I'm starting to get a headache here with that bright light going. So the answer is to Matt. Yeah, if you were just going to be riding tracks, the four strokes make a ton of sense. If you're going to be riding like off road and a wide variety of stuff, that is where the two strokes really, really shine. So if most of your riding is going to be off the track and you're going to be doing enduro stuff and trail riding and things like that, then it makes a lot of sense for you to get a two stroke. Let's see. Luke Moscow says it just rained here in Palmdale/Little Rock. Who's in the area? So he wants to go riding, maybe. Sam Grandin, have you ever considered a large group meet/ride? Yes, I have. I'm a little bit, yeah. I'm an introvert, and so it's tricky for me to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go with a bunch of. But I've thought about it. What I'd like to do, because if we did like some sort of, I don't want to have to get a permit or whatever, but if we did like some sort of a group trail maintenance day, I'd feel really good about that. But then it's like, well, maybe then we'd need to, kind of figure it out with the Forest Service or whatever, I don't know, or the BLM. But if we did get together I'd rather have it be for a purpose, if that makes sense. a purpose that we were like pushing the sport forward or at least doing some service or something like that. Let's see. Let's see. Great spot. Okay, so Corey Carroll says any great spots in Utah for winter rides? Yeah, it's south, man. So if you go to dirtbikeutah.net, just look for all the desert stuff, and you just want to do the south, the southern end of the state right now because the northern end is all covered in snow. Um, let's see. In the field says, "Hi, Mr. Brotherson. Keep up the good work and the content." Um, CTK. Does anyone more on WD-40 AMSOIL on their dirt bikes? I don't know if that's a joke or not. I run WD-40 on my chains, and I've run AMSOIL Saber in my bikes for most of the time I've been riding. But I'm now moving over to the Motor X Cross Power for the new TBI bikes, just because I'm not sure that the AMSOIL Saber is like injector safe. So I'm moving back over to Motor X Cross Power 2T. Let's see. Zesty said, "Hi Kyle, I'd emailed you about getting me a 250XC next year, and you said I could be good with the 250XCW as well." Yes, like 250XC and 250XCW, both of them are great. The 250XCW is going to be a lot softer suspension, especially now, especially if you get a 22 or a 23, because those 23 XC bikes are very stiff. Let's see. Yeah. And Zesty said, I explained I'm doing this to ride a lot of trails behind my house, and I ride for recreational motocross, wondering if the 250XC is noticeably softer, or the XCW is noticeably softer than the XC. Mhm. The answer is yes. The 2023 XCW is going to be noticeably softer than the 2023 XC for sure. Charles Swigert says, "Hey, I love the bag and pump and bar pad I purchased from you. I love them." So he got the bag. I've got a couple of bags. I've got some gear bags, and I've had some trail packs. I don't have any trail packs in stock right now, but I do have some of those gear bags. And here's the deal: like all the stuff that I sell, I actually use. Every single thing that I sell on my website, I use. See, like this is a shirt that I'm wearing. Um, I try to buy. I buy and sell. I sell the stuff that I like. So if I wouldn't buy it, I don't. If I wouldn't buy it and use it, I don't sell it on my website. So thank you for that. And I've got trail pumps on there and bar pads on there. Um, in the field says, "Have you done any riding at 7 Mile in Idaho?" I don't know what 7 Mile is. I didn't get up to Idaho in 2022 at all. That's another reason why 2022 wasn't great. Why it sucked is because I didn't ride Idaho at all. But I don't know what 7 Mile is. Sorry. Dirt Freak says, "Will you try to bring a winter to Utah to ride with you again?" I probably should. It got to be such a hassle, and I had several people that were we couldn't make it work, and I was like, I'm like banging my head against the wall to bring people here to ride, and then I can't get them to do it, and then we'd send cash prizes and whatever. I don't know. Is that something you guys want? You want like that to be part of the prize thing? Is you get to come to Utah and ride? Let me know in the comments, or even better, yeah, email me. Send me an email and say, "Hey, Kyle, we want this to happen." So Kyle@dirtbikechannel.com. That's my email. Um, Vigilante RC says, "I had a 2021 KX250X and found the power not impressive. So I switched to the 2021 KX450X. For the few pounds difference, I find so much more fun on the 450 and it feels just as nimble. Your thoughts, please." Um, I'm I'm happy that you found Vigilante RC. I'm happy that you are happier with your bike. Depends on where you're going to ride. I haven't usually I like to do the stuff that is like tighter stuff. I just love the way the 250s handle. I love the way the 250s feel. I love how they corner. I love how the bikes lay over. The 450s they have their place. And I did I haven't done the Kawasaki 450, but I did the Honda 450 this year, and I will say that after, having not having one and ridden one for a long time, now that I've been riding for a longer period of time, I did have more fun on the 450 than I did years ago. But I feel like a lot of people have a 450 and it's too much bike. Most of the time, I think it's too much bike for me. The only time I really want a 454 stroke is for riding wide open desert stuff. That's when I've had the most fun on those things. So yeah, let's see. Just getting a text here. Yeah, sorry, just got distracted there. So I'm more of a 250 guy, but 450s can be fun in the right place, you know. Let's see. Have you thought about testing a trials bike? Rusty asked this question. So I have two trials bikes. I have an electric, well, I have technically three trials bikes. I have a gas trials bike that we mess around on a little bit. I have a Sherco trials bike. And then I have that electric motion Escape R, which is basically a trials bike. I'm not good at trials. I don't do any trial stuff, so I couldn't really test one, you know. Let's see. So Derek says, "What height do you recommend is good for moving up to full sized?" I would say 5'6". If you're shorter than 5'6", going up to full size becomes very difficult, especially if you're going to do any sort of technical terrain where you might be tipping having to put your foot down or tipping the bike over. My son is 5'5" right now, and we did have him ride the 125 full size bike down in southern Utah about a week ago, and he had a ton of fun on it, but it wasn't technical, and he could just we were just doing some open riding and some hill climbing and stuff. If he was like riding tight single track where there's rocks and roots and like ways to fall down the mountain or whatever, he wouldn't be nearly as comfortable on it. So by the time you get to be 5'7", you're good to go. 5'8". I mean, even then it can be kind of challenging. People that are I have people complaining to me all the time that are 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", saying these bikes are too tall, you know? So it just depends on kind of what your inseam is. But I would say generally speaking, if you're shorter than 5'6", you're going to struggle on a full size bike. Ash Soman is on here. Yeah, what's up, man? He said, "Hope you had a good Christmas, Kyle." Thanks, Ash. We need to catch up again. I've seen a couple videos that you've put out that have just been killing it. I actually didn't see the video, but I saw it popped up in my feed, and it was like you had 750,000, I don't even know, views on a video you did about like some racer that came to Utah, or not Utah, but came to the US. I think we were talking about one of the European guys that came to the US and like smoked people in like 2016. And I don't know, maybe it was Motocross of Nations. I'm not sure. Nicholas Pietrikowski. Oh, man, I'm butchering you name, Pietrikowski. Thoughts on the Mako 360 for vibration suspension? So I do have a Mako 360. I wasn't super impressed with its vibration reduction, but then again, um, I didn't run the softer stuff with it. So I bought like the softer, like insert the softer polymer and then the softer shark bite. And then I never got around to putting it on a bike. So it's still sitting on my desk. David Fiedler says, what's your opinion on flex bars? If it's something that helps your carpal tunnel and makes it so that you can ride, I say go for it. For me, I don't love all the flex. Every time I've ridden with them on other people's bikes, I've never put it on my bike, but I've ridden several people's bikes that have it. I don't love the flex. It's too much flex for me. For me, like less is more. I just want to be able to like move my levers into the position that I want and kind of get the rotation that I want on the bars and then just ride every bike. I don't like having to install something. I don't like having to get used to installing something on every freaking bike. So anyway, I'm just about out of time here. Just wanted to let everybody know. Thank everybody for coming on. If you haven't entered the sweepstakes for the two bikes that I'm giving away, go to my website, dirtbikechannel.com. You've got to do that before the end of the year here. So we've got just over 2 days left. So you have the rest of today, and then you have the 30th and 31st. At midnight on the 31st, the whole thing closes up. For those of you that wonder how many people enter these sweepstakes, again, I don't have all the data because I don't see the postcards that come in. That goes to the sweepstakes company. But what I can tell you is from the little bit that I know, I believe that less than 1% of the people who watch my videos on YouTube enter these sweepstakes. So this isn't something where it's like the lottery where there's millions of people. There's a few thousand people. I don't even know. I don't know, anywhere between 2,000 and 5,000 people. I'm not exactly sure. All I know is it's much better odds than you think. And since we're giving away 2 dirt bikes, it doubles the odds every time that you might win. And there you go. So, I mean, it's automatic entry for all purchases on my website. It's also automatic entry for all purchases that go through the Rocky Mountain ATV affiliate link. You can find that stuff over on my website, dirtbikechannel.com. If you just click on shop Rocky Mountain ATV, then you will be, anything they sell. You don't have to buy any of the things that I suggest over there. You can buy anything they sell. So that's the dealio. But yeah, so that's what we got going on. If you've ever bought anything from me, you are literally the reason why this still exists. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I hope everybody had a really good Christmas. If you have additional questions, you can always email me. It's kyle@dirtbikechannel.com, or you can hit me up on my website at dirtbikechannel.com. There's a contact page and it says have questions. You can just go on there and just fill out the form and ask me a question. So and if it's something that we need to get on a call, I can send you a link to my calendar and we can jump on a phone call and just do that. So, okay. Thank you so much for all of your support. And until next time, leave a single track. Thanks.